This is an introduction to Reaper 6 by Cocus. It works on PC, Mac, or Linux. Reaper is completely customizable, so as a new user you can kind of create your own way of working, or if you are a user of another DAW, you can do what you are most comfortable with or used to, including changing the key commands, menus, toolbars, mouse behaviors. Reaper has 3 windows. You have the arrangement window, you have the track window, also known as the TCP or track control panel, and then you have the mixer window. Reaper works with MIDI. It also will work with video. Now the video kind of shows up, as you see, as a blank thing. We can get, or we can view the video, transport there, and then we can have it float for us, so we can still see our mixer. And then, of course, there is audio files that it will do. No track is specific to a certain thing. Track is just kind of more of a descriptor item, so that it can contain any of these or all of these. As you can see, to add a track, we can go ahead and drag them in, as I did. To remove them, we can right-click it and get rid of them. And then we can also come up under the track menu and insert a new track. You can use the hotkey of Command T, Control T in Windows, and then you can double click as well. The TCP contains a few different items. Let me drag some stuff onto these tracks just so you can kind of see what it does. We can individually slide each track. If we turn on our grid here, we can it'll snap to our grid. And that was just a little magnet up there. If you hover, you will get tooltips. So here is your lock, your snap enabled, your grid, and then of course there's like save and what have you. That exists pretty much throughout. So like I can hover here and it'll say your tooltip would be its volume plus what the volume is. These also have, the TCP has mute, solo, phase. We talked about volume, and then it also does pan, all of which is duplicated down here in the mixer window. So if I'm adjusting the door knock, I can adjust it this way. If you are kind of unsure of where to put it, you can double click it. Effects and trim, and then you could also kind of see routing here. Those are kind of more advanced items. Trim, or envelopes, it's called trim there. Envelopes is more of kind of like an automation, so we can automate level changes and what have you when you get into them. Oops, that was routing. There, you can volume pan, that kind of stuff. You can all automate. That's a little bit more advanced than what this video is going to cover. To scrub or listen to, grab your selection and just drag it back and forth. If we want to edit this item, we make sure that it is highlighted. We can also mute the other ones, or we can go through and just solo so that that's all you're hearing is just that one. Because that item is highlighted, I can go underneath this and tell it to split at the cursor, which it does for you. So it kind of cuts it off. And you can kind of drag it down. As you can see, if we want to add more, if we wanted to add it back, we can just drag it Or if I want to, rather than split it and cut it, I just want to shorten it up, I can do it that way as well. The same kind of counts for the top of the track. To zoom in, you can use your scroll bar to zoom in and out, as well as going left to right. And that kind of gets it to where you can get a little bit tighter on it. We can create a fade by going up in the upper corner and drag. And then we can not click there with the fade, and I can adjust what kind of fade I want to change it. You can always come back to it and add more if you didn't quite get it in the right spot. So bring our cursor back. You kind of hear how it sounds. If that fade doesn't work, you just drag it like back to itself. And it's really good. If we were going to add in another door knock file, so that's how they look. If we wanted them to crossfade, you just kind of drag them over each other and the crossfade actually starts to happen. And then again, you have the opportunity to say how you want it to crossfade. So that kind of a nice double beat there. Of course, there is undo, redo, which can be found under the edit menu. So I can undo, I can go way back to where I originally had started. Or I can go ahead and redo all of those. Add my fades back in, change them, what have you. Get rid of our little window thing. We can also get rid of our mixer. Often I like to get rid of my mixer so that I can have a lot more control, especially when I'm running a lot of tracks. You can resize your tracks by making it bigger or smaller. Depends on what you want. Obviously, the track that you're working on is going to be a different size than probably the other tracks that you're working on. It just did it there. I didn't mean for it to do it there, but it did. You can create subgroups. So I can create a subgroup there. I can add more tracks to subgroup, or I can bust that track out. It's not going to let me do it. There it goes. All right. Our mixer window, like when I'm doing mix down, we can go back and view the mixer. You saw a selection there where you can view it as a floating mixer instead, or you can have both. Or you can right click it on the mixer and it brings up a contextual menu for you to choose what you want on. Right now it's dock and mixer, so then I can make it so it's free floating and I can move it wherever. The contextual mixer, the contextual menus will be in not only the mixer, it'll also be in your arrangement window and your track window. But it also participates over each and any action that is going to take place. So that if you ever get into a spot and you're like, I don't know what to do, so we'll pick on this one, or what can I do, you can right click it and it'll pull up any of those items. One thing that we can do, we'll keep picking on our footsteps here. So let me grab another set of footsteps to put in, and we'll start our track there. So you can kind of see what was happening there. And as you watch down here at this location of my screen, you can see that the BPM is changing. We can manually control the BPM. So say I want it at 50. You can kind of see how that is working if I go back to the original. And then I can also do the same thing with my ratio and adjust it, but we'll also change my pitch. So that is obviously low or slow ratio and a fast ratio. Again, anywhere on here, if you get kind of to the point where you just want to restore, you double click and it takes you right back to where it was. We'll just do that one to 200. So we are going to build a quick effect, if you will, that you might want to build for your stage. So we're going to drop in some crowd noises. So you kind of hear them there. Because it's something in a hallway, we will add in some footsteps. We're going to add them a little bit off there so that the footsteps are starting more. We probably also want the world's most annoying school bell in there somewhere. I'm grabbing this school bell specifically because it is super long and super annoying and will be super loud. So we need to adjust the volume. I want to add it to my mixer and then have it dock for me. We'll drop the school bell down. So the crowd's a little bit loud, footsteps are a little bit quiet. There we go. School bell's super long, so we're just going to split the track there. Again, you can go up under item and split items at cursor, or you can hotkey it as it shows you to the right there. Then we're going to add a fade in. We're going to have it so it ducks a little bit faster than normal. You can kind of see there's a little bit of dead silence there at the very top, so we'll trim that right on up. Delete that part. And because it is time of making this video, is during Halloween, so we're going to make it a little bit more creepy and fun. And add in some eerie wind underneath the whole thing. Okay. And then we're going to grab all of them, because I'm clearly not at the very start of my thing, so you can grab them all. Oh, what are you doing? Move them together all the way to the start. So then when we use our punch button, so that ring did not really work for me. So we'll zoom in and extend it out. So it's essentially creating like a repeat doing it that way. You also have toggle repeat here that you can use. Actually, don't think it's the length. I think it is the fade. So we're going to play with it a little bit more. Don't like that fade either. Okay, we're going to drop that bell down because it's still just annoying me to death. Then we'll add in some other eerie things. we are going to add in a scream. That is what this place needs. Now this scream was actually recorded, so we got to do a little bit of editing. I go over and find where our scream happens. So if my grid was on, it would snap to, so I could immediately align that. I wanted to overrun it just slightly. Split that track there. And then, of course, you can't have eerie sounds without some sort of drone happening. Okay. It does not like me. There we go. Because I did not grab an audio file, I grabbed the other file. Folks, that was loud. So, going back, we'll see how it sounds. Let's just scroll that up again. So that could be our effect. We could make it even more complicated by using an automation to raise and lower the wind, the drone, and the walking footsteps. So we've kind of created our thing. Our final way of getting it out is we go under File to Render, and it will bring up this thing so you can render it, the entire project. You can also render just sections of it. Obviously this one, since we created it, we can render it, and then you can see the multiple formats that it will allow you to render it in. Rendering a file means we'll just do it right there quickly. Rendering open the queue renders means that you can render it to a queue, and then if I'm building multiple queues, I'll render them to the queue, and then I will render all of my effects all at once, or all of my Reaper edits that I have done to create the sound. So that is a basic introduction to Reaper. There's a lot that we did not touch. There's some great videos online that you can kind of go and get a lot more detailed, but hopefully this gets you started. If this interests you, you can go to reaper.fm and download it for a trial. Thank you.